Bitcoin. It's the undisputed king of crypto, right? A multi-trillion-dollar digital fortress? But here's the thing. What if you want to actually use that value in the wild, fast-paced world of decentralized finance, or DeFi? Well, you can't, at least not directly. So today, we're going to break down Wrapped Bitcoin, the absolutely crucial bridge that unlocks all that immense value for the world of smart contracts. I mean, this is the fundamental problem we're talking about. You've got this incredibly valuable asset, maybe the most valuable digital asset in the world, but it's kind of stuck on its own island. It can't get involved in all the lending, borrowing, and yield-generating action that's happening on other blockchains like Ethereum. So how do you get it off the island?
All right, let's get into it. First, we'll explore why Bitcoin is in what you could call a walled garden. Then we'll look at how a DeFi bridge actually gets built. After that, we'll meet the main players, the wrapped tokens themselves. We'll break down the critical trade-offs you have to make, and finally, help you figure out which one might be the right move for your strategy. So, first things first, why does this problem even exist? Well, it comes down to Bitcoin's design. It was built to do one thing, and do it exceptionally well, be a super secure, decentralized store of value. And that laser focus is, ironically, also its biggest limitation. Think of it this way. The Bitcoin network, that's like a maximum security vault. It's purpose-built for one thing: keeping your assets safe. The Ethereum network, on the other hand, is like a bustling, high-tech financial city. It's humming with programmable smart contracts that power pretty much everything in DeFi. They're just two totally different worlds, and they're not built to talk to each other. So if you can't bring the DeFi city to the Bitcoin vault, well, you've got to bring the Bitcoin to the city. And the solution is this really clever idea called wrapping. It's basically a way to create a representative, a sort of tokenized version of your Bitcoin that can live, breathe, and operate inside that financial city of Ethereum. At its core, a wrapped token is really just an IOU. It's a promise. For every single wrapped Bitcoin token that's out there on Ethereum, there is one real Bitcoin locked away safely in a digital vault or reserve. And that one-to-one backing, that is the absolute key to the whole thing. It's what keeps the wrapped token's price pegged to the real deal. So how does this actually work in practice? Let's use the most popular one, WBTC, as our example. First, you, the user, send your native Bitcoin to an approved merchant. That merchant then gives the green light to the custodian, in this case a company called BitGo, to go ahead and mint an equal amount of WBTC. BitGo then creates those shiny new WBTC tokens on the Ethereum blockchain. And boom, just like that, your Bitcoin is now DeFi-ready. Okay, now that we know how it all works, let's meet the two main players in the game. You've got the established champion, Wrapped Bitcoin, or WBTC, and then you have a pretty serious challenger from a huge name in crypto, Coinbase Wrapped Bitcoin, or cbBTC. You know, this table really lays out the transformation perfectly. Native Bitcoin lives on its own blockchain. It's its own thing. But both WBTC and cbBTC are what we call ERC20 tokens. You can just think of ERC20 as the universal passport for tokens on Ethereum and all its scaling solutions. That shared standard is what lets them into the entire DeFi world. And as you can see, this landscape is really dominated by one player. I mean, WBTC is an absolute titan here, commanding over 80% of the entire market. It's been around since 2019, so it's had years to build deep trust and get integrated into hundreds of different protocols. Now, cbBTC is growing fast, for sure, but it has a long way to go to catch up. And that market dominance, it translates into some serious money. There's over $15 billion worth of WBTC locked up in DeFi protocols right now. It's used as one of the main forms of collateral for lending and borrowing. Honestly, it's become a foundational pillar for the entire ecosystem. Okay, let's get to what is probably the most critical part of this whole story, the trade-off. Because to get your Bitcoin onto Ethereum, you have to trust somebody else to hold the original asset for you. And this introduces centralization, the very thing Bitcoin was designed to get away from. So who exactly is holding the keys to that vault full of real Bitcoin? Well, for WBTC, it's a third-party custodian, BitGo. And there's an oversight layer from a 17-member DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. For cbBTC, it's way simpler. Coinbase holds everything. It's a completely internal, centralized setup with zero external governance. And this, of course, is where the risk comes in. With WBTC, your risk is all concentrated at the custodian, BitGo.
In fact, there was some recent news about a custody transition that made some big DeFi players a little nervous. With cbBTC, your risk is a single point of failure, Coinbase. You are completely and totally dependent on their security and, frankly, their financial stability. But that centralized model for cbBTC does come with one massive advantage: cost. Because Coinbase controls the whole process from start to finish, wrapping and unwrapping is incredibly efficient. To move $100,000, it might cost you around $150 with WBTC, but only about $30 with cbBTC. For active traders, that's a huge, huge difference. So, we've covered the why, the how, and the who. Now we get to the most important question of all. Which one should you actually use? And the answer, as it always is in crypto, is, well, it really depends on what you're trying to do. Let's just break it down by use case. If you're a long-term holder, a hodler, and you're just focused on security, nothing, and I mean nothing, beats holding your own keys with native Bitcoin. Simple as that. If you want to put your Bitcoin to work across the whole DeFi ecosystem, WBTC is still the king. It's the most established and widely accepted option. But if you're a frequent trader looking for cheap Vs, or you want to tap into the fast-growing base ecosystem, then cbBTC is the clear winner.
This quote really just says it all. There is no perfect one-size-fits-all solution here. Every single choice in this space involves a trade-off. You're either choosing the pure decentralization and Fort Knox-level security of native Bitcoin, or you're opting for the convenience and the money-making opportunities that wrapping provides, while accepting the custody risk that comes along for the ride. And that leaves us with the big question to really chew on. Is bringing Bitcoin into DeFi through these centralized bridges a necessary step for innovation, a way to let its massive value fuel a whole new financial system? Or does it fundamentally compromise the core principles of decentralization that made Bitcoin so revolutionary in the first place? The answer to that is probably going to shape the future of crypto for years to come.